Good morning. How y'all doing today? Good, I hope. Coming to you from Montreal's Old Port. Going to talk today about a few lessons that we've learned traveling around the world, maybe a couple other trips, and a couple practical ideas or tips, and a couple observations. Just some things we've picked up on our trips. Kind of meant if you're considering long-term travel yourself, channel's partially about encouraging you to do so and giving you a little bit of advice on some things to look for. Also, if you're considering or planning doing the Camino de Santiago, we got that coming up in about 2 weeks. So the next few videos will be about our preparations for the Camino. Did probably my last long walk in preparation just a couple days ago. Hit 31 kilometers. No ill effects other than a stiff calf, which at my age I'll take it. That's the only issue. Hey, do you guys know about Cirque du Soleil, Montreal's own Cirque du Soleil? Let me show you where they set up. They're kind of just getting geared up for this summer's show. So this is where Cirque du Soleil sets up this summer. I'm not sure what show's going on. They're just putting tents up now. It's quite a magical spot during the summer. Been lucky enough to have been to a couple of shows there. It's quite something to see in person. So back to our long-term travel tips, or top 5 things learned while traveling around the world. There's my good thumbnail, I suppose. Well, other than saying just do it, which is the whole point of the channel, encourage you to give it some strong consideration. So anyway, some things to learn, a couple practical tips. One would be to embrace tours. We hadn't done much of that on our previous trips, kind of a recent thing. We signed up for a couple tours. Probably the first really cool one started in Medellin, Colombia. We got a guide to bring us up to Camino 13. Camino 13. It was in the 1980s, in the days of Pablo Escobar. It was considered one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in the world, really. Of course, things have completely changed now in Medellin. It's a beautiful town, the land of eternal spring. We had such a good time there. But to visit that area that was known for just constant violence, daily murders and executions done both by the cartel and those trying to do something about it. Anyways, the tour was fantastic. Our host was very knowledgeable, local guy. Brought us at the end of the day to incredible coffee shop, one of the nicest coffees I think I've ever had. And a couple other tours we've done recently. We did a British pub tour, which again, fantastic. Probably never would have found these places on our own. That's never mind all the history that we got, but never even would have known about them. Again, the guide was just excellent, funny, knowledgeable. Had a couple beers with him, chatting away. Just fantastic. And we did a food tour in Greece, in Athens. Again, brought us to these out of the way places that we never would have found. One of which was a restaurant tucked away in a basement, no signage or anything. We ended up going back there a couple days later because the food was so good. And let's see, we've did a tapas tour in Seville last year. Anyways, don't diss the food tours, they're awesome. Second tip would be not to be so quick to dismiss shared locations. If you're considering some Airbnbs along your journey. Oh, this looks weird without all the water. Check this out. Usually a nice little sort of lake in there. Anywho, I saw an ad on TV recently where I think it was Verbo. They're saying how can it be a vacation if you have to share the place? You know, making it sound like having a place to yourself, an entire house, is the best thing in the world. I mean, at times it certainly is. It's nice to have privacy. But I mean, some of our really nice memories came from when we decided to get a room in someone else's place. There was a place in Cornwall in England called Foy. We were fortunate enough to stay with Victoria and Andrew, a little room they had upstairs. I don't think it's available anymore, but they had an extra room upstairs. They rented out. And we get there and bake some fresh hot scones. We had the whole, we're not from England, we're from Canada, so we had the whole British experience. After we got to know them, a couple of days went by. Victoria invited Baharik to go to some arts and crafts down in the church basement. She actually sat beside the vicar's wife while crafting some sea glass. Seems like a pretty British thing to do. Maybe not, but seemed like it. Meanwhile, I got to have a beer with our host Andrew, watching some football in his living room. That definitely seemed like a British thing to do. Football and beer. So it was really cool, really great experience. Another shared experience we had was in India. We stayed at a really nice villa in a mountain town called Shimla. And I guess the folks that owned the place were fairly well-to-do, so they had staff at the place. So we had, our morning coffee and newspaper brought out to us on the patio overlooking the Himalayas. Really nice dinner served by them. And that reminds me of another spot in India. We stayed at Samvid's villa. Really nice chance to get to know a local guy. He brought us out to meet some local kids, which was just fantastic to see how they really live and what they do to get by. His villa was charming and nice homemade food every morning, breakfast, and some breakfast with some other travelers as well. So we got to know a few people. Just, I could go on. There's so many. I had a nice glass of scotch with a Scotsman in his kitchen in Scotland. Any chance you get to spend some time with folks that live in these countries that you want to explore, it's a real bonus. So there's your other tip. Don't shy away from shared accommodations. For us, it's worked out fine. We've never had a bad experience doing that. Now for some, I guess, more generalized observations. Which way am I going to go here? Yeah, I'll head back this way. One observation was about bringing a child or a young family with you. We had our 9-year-old son with us when we did the around the world trip. We took him out of grade 4 and traveled the world for a year. We were a little concerned about his education, but to be honest, in grade 4, what are they learning? He certainly learned a hell of a lot more by visiting, New Zealand, Japan, India, Hungary, Croatia. Taking our son out of school when he was 9 years old was a terrific choice. We had a good principal at the school. She said, take him out. When he comes back, we'll put him back in grade 5 like nothing happened, and which we did. He joined up with his old friends in grade 5. Didn't miss a beat. Actually did really well. He's one of the better students in his class. And like I was saying, I think he learned a heck of a lot more, playing football with a bunch of local kids in India. That was another thing about the shared accommodations. When we were at that villa in India, the neighboring kids would come knock on a door and ask if Kazim was around to play some footy with them, which he did often. Things like that are just fun. They barely didn't really speak much. Actually, only one of the boys spoke English. Language isn't really a problem either at that age or just traveling in general. If you enjoy content like this, if you're either planning a world travel, slow travel, long-term travel, if any of these things are in your future, I hope you'll consider subscribing, where you can both join us on our adventures. We've got a few interesting ones coming up. We've got the Camino in Spain, probably a month or so in Argentina later on, sometime on the east coast of Canada. So I hope you'll join us in some of these adventures. Hit the old subscribe button if you want to join us or be part of our community. We'd appreciate it. Another tip I wanted to share was if you're planning a long-term trip is to keep some flexibility in your calendar. Don't book everything ahead of time. I'll tell you a quick story about something that happened with us, really fortunate turn of events. We had a agenda planned, but we didn't book everything in advance. Of course, if you're going to Europe in the summer, you have to book things. It's too crowded. You'll be stuck somewhere you don't want to be if you don't. But if you're going more long-term, not everything needs to be booked out. So our itinerary was meant to take us from Australia to New Zealand and then go across to South America and head north through South America on our way back home. Originally what we were going to do. So we're in Australia and we're starting to look at the flights over to Santiago, Chile. And man, they were expensive. Much more than we anticipated. So we started to question whether we needed to stick to that route or if there were other options. Baharik, who does most of the travel planning for us, decided to open up, I don't know if it was Skyscanner or one of those tools. And basically she plugged in our departure city, which would have been Christchurch, New Zealand. And she left the destination open just to see where an inexpensive flight might take us. And that was a brilliant decision because surprisingly to us, one of the cheapest flights, I think it was $200-300, as opposed to, I think those South American flights are going to be something like $1,600 a piece. So a couple $100, maybe it was $250 Canadian. And the destination city was Tokyo. It's funny, before we left on the big trip, one of our close friends, Gail, she highly suggested visiting Japan if we had a chance. We thought it was a great idea, but it wasn't really in the cards for what we had planned. But when we saw Tokyo pop up as an inexpensive destination, so wow, I don't know if it's a bit of kismet or. So we looked into it a little more. And she checked out a bunch of apartment prices in Tokyo and Hiroshima and Kyoto. To make a long story short, we got a chance to visit all of those places, and it was one of the highlights of our trip. Kyoto in particular was just such a beautiful, charming, historic town. Go back there in a second. And Japan wasn't as expensive as you might think. We've heard a lot of stories about how expensive it can be, but I thought it was quite reasonable. Food was obviously incredible. So the whole point of that was to maintain flexibility in your scheduling. So we weren't able to go to South America on that trip, but we got to see Japan, which was, like I said, just incredible. And from Japan, we went back into Europe. From Japan to Venice, which again was not on our original itinerary because at that time we thought we'd be in South America. So got to see another bucket list town, went to Venice and more travels through Europe. So flexibility can be your friend. It can open up all kinds of adventure. Keep that in mind. All right, thanks. Next tip. So the last observation was traveling light and how little you need to be happy, to enjoy life. We traveled for a full year with my wife and I each had a 38-liter backpack, and our son had a little 15-liter pack. So we lived out of these small backpacks for a year, and life could not have been better. We really enjoyed ourselves. All we really needed was a change of clothes, a little bit of computer gear. And we enjoyed it so much that we started to think about doing this full time, which is our ultimate goal. My son's still, he's 18 now, so we have to support him a little more, I think, while he's getting ready to start university. And my father's still around. I think he appreciates when we're able to spend time with him and give him a hand with a few things. But eventually, down the road, perpetual travel will be what we do, and so much so that we've recently sold our nice little house in the burbs. Got rid of most of our possessions. Getting ready for life on the road, living out of a backpack again. I tell you what, selling all of that stuff, getting rid of the house, what a sense of liberation. Like not really a weight off my back, because it was a nice place to live. But you know, you just feel a little freer. You have less burdens, less responsibilities. You can focus on your family, your finances, your health. You don't have to worry about fixing a roof or pulling weeds, or can we afford to do the driveway this year, or does it wait till next year? You know, so many things that go on with maintaining a home. I won't walk backwards for too long. I end up falling into the water here. So that's all for today. If you're considering the Camino, or you just want to follow us on the Camino de Santiago, it's an 800-kilometer hike that we're going to embark on in about 2 weeks. I hope you'll hit the subscribe button, follow along. Certainly do a lot of videos gearing up for that trip, and probably daily or every second day on the trip. That'll be our next big thing. All right, thanks a lot for tuning in. I appreciate you spending some time with us. Take care and see you next time.